I'm Aaron from PhoneDog.com, and part 2 of a sub $100 dogfight battle between the Razr M and the Atrix HD starts in just a moment. But first, special thanks to our partners at Best Buy Mobile for giving us devices like the Razr M and like the Atrix HD for use in PhoneDog's One-Pawed Bandit game, which we turn around and give to you on the site. When you go into Best Buy Mobile, you won't deal with rebates. Both of these devices will be $99.99 out the door. You don't have to deal with paperwork, waiting 8 to 10 weeks for a debit card that you're probably not going to use anyway. At Best Buy Mobile, you'll deal with no rebates. Razr M, Atrix HD, it's dogfight time, and part 2 at that. Let's get it started. Part 2 of a challenging dogfight battle because both of these devices are $99.99 on their respective carriers. You've got the Motorola DROID RAZR M, it's not even out yet, coming to Verizon on September 13th for $100. Then you have the Motorola Atrix HD over here on AT&T, available now at the carrier for $100 as well. Both have different specs, some better in some departments, others better in other departments. For example, the Razr M has a 2,000 milliamp hour battery that's non-removable, whereas this one only has a 1,780 milliamp hour battery. Also, it has a 4.3-inch Super AMOLED Advanced edge-to-edge display with little to no stuff around the sides. Got a little bit of a metal chassis there, but nothing too major. Whereas over here, a bigger display and a display that's HD at that, a 4.5-inch HD display. So a little bit bigger, but has a ton of plastic around the sides and around the bottom, as you can see here. Sorry for knocking the camera there. My bad, my bad. But you can see Motorola DROID RAZR M, Motorola Atrix HD. Let's dogfight these in part 2 and start out by taking a look at the speed tests on both of these devices. So we'll load up, not vehicle mode, we'll load up speed tests on the respective networks. Now my office has historically been kind of a challenge area for AT&T and for Verizon, but we're going to load this up and see if we can get Shelby over here as well and see what we can do in terms of LTE. Both of these devices, 4G LTE capable. Verizon promises download speeds between 5 and 12 megabits per second and upload speeds between 2 and 5 megabits per second, though obviously, as you can see here, I'm seeing some relatively reasonable speeds. 18 megabits per second on Verizon, very nice there. And on the upload, coming up in just a second. Over here on AT&T, though, download 4 megabits per second, and AT&T's LTE has been like that since the rollout in Charlotte. Not just in my office, but I haven't seen any speeds, at least to my knowledge, past about 12 megabits per second in the Charlotte metro area. I've seen it much faster in areas like New York, in areas like Dallas, and some of the other LTE markets. That said, over here, 4.1 megabits per second, 6.9 on the upload, 11 megabits per second on the upload for Verizon. So certainly in the LTE tests, Verizon wins this time around. Let's load up Quadrant Standard as well. Both of these packing a 1.5 gigahertz dual-core Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 CPU. So it'll be interesting to take a look here and see which one comes out on top. While that's happening, let me tell you a little bit about Motorola, though. Their wireless radios are fantastic. So whether you're on AT&T or Verizon, if you're looking for a device, you're in that area with Verizon or AT&T where you get like 0 to 1 bar of service. It's kind of a trouble area for the carrier. Take a look at their Motorola devices because honestly their wireless radios are fantastic. I've had nothing but great reports from both of these devices. The earpiece is nice and loud, it's easy to hear out of, and perhaps most importantly, at least I think it's kind of important still in today's world, I don't know if calls are that important anymore, but you can make great calls thanks to the wireless radio and be able to hear and understand the other side of the call. So very impressive there. Battery life, 2,000 milliamp hours over here, 1,780 milliamp hours over here. Battery life is better on the DROID RAZR M because of the larger battery, because of the smaller display as well. I'm averaging like 12 to 14 hours with moderate use over here. I'm averaging about 10 over on the Atrix HD, if my calculations are correct. So obviously HD display pulling out some of the juice as well. And then of course you've got a bigger display over here. That said, bigger battery over here makes it a little bit better. Now on the speed test side, you can obviously see, you may not be able to see this as well on the camera, but take a look. Let me get these up close so you can see, and forgive the zoom time here that it takes to get focused in on these, or the focus time rather I should say. See if we can get these focused. Hopefully you can get an idea what the colors look like on both of these devices. And you can't really see it on camera, but you can tell the HD display, there's a noticeable difference between color clarity over here, and it is certainly very impressive. 4,921 over on the Razr M, 4,952 over on the Atrix HD. So both impressive, but in terms of a speed test, a slight edge to the Atrix HD. Another thing I want to point out, the cameras, 8 megapixel cameras on both of these devices. And again, take a look before we go and you'll notice that the icons are slightly different as well. This has happened with Motorola since the beginning of time. I mean, even the Moto Blur user interface, there were slight variations from carrier to carrier. The icons looked a little bit different. They do little things like this, where you got your quick settings on the new version, but you don't have quick settings on the AT&T version. You've got little text icons and little people icons that you can expand out. Cool feature on the AT&T one doesn't exist on the Verizon ones. You get little, differences like that. If you recall back to like the Photon days, Sprint's Photon had certain stuff that the Droid 3 didn't have, etc. So it's always been a Motorola thing, and it's one that I find particularly interesting that it's not consistent across the board. Some of that may be at Verizon or AT&T's request, though. So you can see Droid RAZR M here, Atrix HD over here, and then of course we'll take a look at the cameras on both of these devices. Let's bring over the HTC One S here, and we'll take a look at the logo on the HTC, and we'll focus in, and we'll take a picture, and you can see what it looks like. Overall, for $100, it's a decent camera. It's certainly not the best in the industry. I certainly see better results from the Galaxy S3 and the HTC One series. The One S in particular has a fantastic camera, as does the One X and the Evo 4G LTE, but still a nice camera for $100. And keeping in mind, if you're just taking these from time to time, it's not that important to you how image quality looks. This is going to be a fine device for you. And then of course, same thing over here. We'll bring over the HTC logo and let you take a look here. And that is not going to focus in. There we go. That's better. Let's see what we can do here. There we go. And we'll get that focused in. Of course, pinch to zoom, responsive on both of these devices, little to no lag across the board. So I've been pleased with both of the cameras. Like I said, though, for $100, certainly not the best camera on the market, but it's going to be pretty decent. If you're taking just cell phone shots from time to time, it's not too bad. Both shoot video in 1080p as well, and you get options to edit and change the effects and more. So both are pretty decent in the customizations department. Another feature I want to show you Motorola devices have, it's called Smart Actions, and you can go in on both of these devices and load up Smart Actions, and then you can go and do a new one. So you have a couple of different options here. This rolled out last year on the Motorola DROID RAZR during the announcement in New York City, and it's expanded out. So you can see Drive Smart is one of my favorite ones, where you can send a text message when you're driving. Go ahead and get started on this one as well. Send a text message while you're driving and say, hey, you know what, I'm driving, I can't take your phone call, can't take your text, I'll get with it when I get to my destination. Charging reminder over here, sleep rules and meeting rules, got workout stuff. You can set it up to where it'll GPS your location and turn off the sound when you're in the office. So it's like whenever I walk in the door of the office, silence my phone because I don't want the boss to hear it. You can do that stuff as well. Good thing my staff works for a wireless company, or works for a company that does wireless stuff, because they wouldn't be able to use their devices. So I'm like the nicest boss in the world, so I like to think. But you can see here, copy an existing rule. You can change your profile, or you can create a custom one from scratch, and you can do triggers like this. For example, Drive Smart, we'll set the trigger to Bluetooth, or you can set the trigger to do battery level 35%. So it's like once the battery gets to 35%, your actions, your GPS goes off, your auto reply text comes on, your ringer volume. You can set all kinds of different cool features on both of these devices as a result of Motorola Smart Actions. Then again, things like the Google Play Store. I just want to show you the difference on both of these devices between the screen size. 4.3 here, 4.5 here, HD over here, non-HD over on this device. And we'll just load up apps so you can take a look here. I'm going to get these up side by side so you can really see there's a little bit of a display difference. And I think if you're browsing the web, or you're doing like YouTube videos, things like that, you'll be happier with the 4.5-inch display. It is a noticeable size difference, so if you're doing something like that, and again, if you're willing to switch carriers, keeping in mind that you might be on Verizon or you might be on AT&T. If you're on your carrier and you're happy, both of these are literally fantastic devices for $100. You can't go wrong. Dual-core Snapdragon S4 processors for under $100. It's definitely a good deal. So we can go ahead and Aaron Baker here, and we'll just do Twilight Forest, whatever this is. And you can see right there, obviously the buttons go away when I go into landscape mode, as they do over here, so you're not worrying about the on-screen buttons taking out any valuable screen real estate. And then you got your video here. Again, HD quality over here, QHD over here, but you got the same look and feel in your YouTube application. And we'll do Chinese pizza, actually Epic Meal Time, for example, and you can see these buttons will go away when it loads up. Bam. And so those go away, and then when you go to pause it, they come back. So, it's a tough call between both of these, as it almost always is in today's dogfights, because honestly, even at the mid-range price tier, the Android options are fantastic. For $100, I mean, these are two phones that I would carry, and like I said in the review of this, oftentimes when family comes to me, they say something like, well, Aaron, would you carry that phone? And I say, well, at the $49 price point or the $99 price point, up until about 3 months ago or 4 months ago, I always said no. I was like, the features aren't, I need better features than that. For what I use the device for, I need something that's a little bit more powerful. At $100, I'd carry both of these devices in a heartbeat, or one of these devices, I should say. They're both fantastic. I prefer the build quality of the DROID RAZR M a lot more. It fits better in the hand. It's got a nice look and feel to it. Love the Kevlar on the back. This one is a little bit too meaty for me, and I don't like the fact that there's a ton of plastic. And seeing this in person, the camera may not do it justice, but there's a ton of plastic. So aesthetically, And obviously aesthetics are very subjective, but aesthetically speaking, this one is not as attractive to me as the Droid RAZR M. That said, I'm gonna have a winner of the dogfight. The winner of the dogfight actually is the Atrix HD. Motorola Atrix HD wins the dogfight for a couple of reasons. It does have a smaller battery, but what it does gain, an HD display for $100. So on AT&T, this is going head-to-head against the HTC One X, which was recently reduced to $100 and has a 4.7-inch HD display. So 1.5 gigahertz dual-core CPU, fantastic there. 4.5-inch HD display, very good there. 8-megapixel camera. A little bit of a smaller battery, 1,780 milliamp hours here, but it does have Android 4.0 and LTE capabilities. Over here, build quality, and if the dogfight were on build quality alone, this would win it. It's fantastic. It's got nice size metal front plate there, Kevlar on the back, really fits well in the hand, but that said, the lack of the HD display and the fact that it's a little bit smaller on the display front, despite having a bigger battery, brings it in a very, very close second. But both of these are fantastic devices that I think anybody would be happy to own. Much more coverage to come on PhoneDog.com with the RAZR M and the Atrix HD. Keep it locked on the site for continuing coverage, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Facebook.com/PhoneDog. We're loading up the greatest tech giveaway ever too. All you have to do is go over to the site, take a look at the entry, and see how you can win. Facebook.com/PhoneDog, or go to the post itself at pdog.ws/PDSweeps2, and from there you can figure out how to enter the actual game, complete with a video tutorial on the page. Be sure to follow me on Twitter as well, PhoneDog_Aaron. Let me know what you think of these devices. You love one, you hate one, you like them both, you think they're great, you think Motorola stinks, you think they're awesome. I'd love to hear from you anyway. PhoneDog_Aaron, and on Facebook at Facebook.com/PhoneDogAB. It's going to be a fun week of dogfights because the M's in the house and we got some exciting other devices coming this week. You'll just have to wait and see on video. So keep it locked on PhoneDog.com, and as always, we'll see you next time.